Let's do this.
Gotta do the ding.
Ding, ding. I got to see what you were talking about. I don't remember what I did.
Matt. Can I share audio? I don't think I can.
Wait, do we have music now?
No.
Oh.
Sorry,
Yeah, I was a little excited there.
Oh, I think I actually have just the ding. Hold on. Let me. Matt-ding.wave.
Yes. Yes. Ding. Ooh, that's me.
Nice. We have to use that. That has to stay in the show.
That is really funny. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fall Through. In this episode, we're going to talk all about tools that make our lives better. Everything from software tools, hardware tools, everything in between. We're going to discuss some of our favorite tools, what we use them for, and why we chose them over other comparable tools. So let's just get right in it because we have a bunch of stuff here on the agenda. So I will get right off the top and I will say one of my favorite tools. I'll start with a software tool and it will be Jujitsu. I don't know how to properly pronounce it, but it's a new next-gen version control system. It's completely replaced Git in my life. Now, it takes some getting used to, and the command is JJ, but it's completely replaced Git. I haven't used Git in months since I started using Jujitsu. So I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it here. Has anyone ever heard of that tool?
No, but I'd love to know why it's better than Git. Is it just a layer on top of Git, or is it?
Yeah, so it's essentially like a new front end to version control, and it treats Git as like a storage backend. So Jujitsu has its own storage backend that it's like working on, and it also is compatible with Git as a storage backend. So you clone your Git repo normally, and you can use JJ to interact with it, and it'll store things in the Git compatible way.
So what you're saying is I have to learn another dialect of CLI voodoo.
It's less voodoo though. So in Git, rebasing could be a little challenging. Conflicts resolution could be a little challenging. JJ kind of takes care of that a little bit better for you. It has more of a concept of easily undoing things. So if you do mess something up, you can just do JJ undo and you're back to where you were and you can try again. Whereas in Git, you kind of have to like reset or restore. And Git forces you to handle like your merge conflicts right then and there. In JJ, you can defer the handling of your merge conflicts and keep working on your stuff and then do that later. So it's just a kind of a slightly different paradigm of how to work with your source code.
Nice. Yeah, I've consciously decided to just not learn all the Git voodoo, and I've pared down my Git usage to about 15 commands, and that's all I ever do. And when someone does some fancy thing, I'm just like, yeah, it's too complicated.
Wait, what do you consider fancy in Git? Like, is a rebase fancy?
No, but I mean, there's lots of voodoo.
Like interactive rebase? Like, I don't know.
No, I do interactive rebase a good bit because I like to clean up commits. But
I think if you're using much more than that, like, what are you doing in Git?
That ref log. Oh, I get in the ref log all the
time.
Oh,
I mean, I only get in the ref log like when I really fuck something up.
Yeah, I use ref log maybe 10 times ever. And it was like, oh, I did a rebase and squash. And it's like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. How do I go get back before I took the left turn at Albuquerque? Oh, it's fine. You pull up ref log. Then you can do anything you want.
I would consider reflog to be an advanced use case. Maybe bisect as well.
I've never used bisect.
Yo, you have to have such a clean code base to use bisect.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Because if you have those partial commits in there, then you just got to break halfway through. You're going to be like, damn it.
Yeah. When you get bisect and there's 1,000 commits between the two, and they're for all kinds of different things.
Typo.
Yeah.
Fudge. No. Incorrect. No. What?
Well, that's a problem. I don't like those like weird commit messages that people do, like attempt 3, attempt 4, attempt 5.
I hate
it's like, can you just be descriptive of what you're doing? That's actually something about Jujitsu that I like is you can continuously describe the changes that you're doing, and essentially it's like editing your commit message almost. So even if you don't know exactly what you're doing up front, and then you work on your source code, and now you figure out what you're doing, you can just do JJ describe and like rewrite your stuff easily without having to like go through the git commit amend and things of that nature. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, I do find myself, this is probably something I do in Git that I shouldn't, but I'll write a whole feature and just under one commit called temp, and then I'll recommit everything at the end just to keep it clean. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should check this out.
Yeah, there's a couple of tutorials for it to
Sounds
show
cool.
how to use it and how it compares to Git and whatnot.
Since we're doing Git, I have one that's also tangentially Git related. The tool is called My Repos. It basically installs a command called mr that lets you apply Git commands to a bunch of repos at once. There are several variations of the same tool. This is the nicest one that I've used. Essentially, you run mr pull, and it will go find all your repos that you have registered and run git pull on them, or push, or whatever the case may be. You can declare your own commands to go do more advanced things. I have one called refresh that does a git fetch -- tags and clean things up, and then a git pull. So my morning routine is mr refresh, and it goes and synchronizes all of my repos, deletes any branches that were deleted on the remote, pulls in new tags, pulls the latest on the branch, whatever the case may be.
How does it know what repos to work with?
When you clone a repo, you go to that folder and you run mr register dot. And there's a config file that has all of the repos. And it essentially recurses through your whatever the working directory is and anything below that, and finds Git repos that are registered and applies whatever the command is.
This is pretty cool. Because I remember going repo by repo and like cleaning up local branches and cleaning up, like, you know, pulling it upstream and resyncing from upstream and all that.
Yeah. I stumbled across it essentially trying to find a way to not have to do find pipe to xargs and all of that kind of bash style voodoo to go, like you said, go run git pull on all the repos.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fine when you have 5 repos, not so much when you have 100.
How did you find this tool?
Honestly, I don't even remember. It probably was 5 or 6 years ago. We had a bunch of, at the time, it was probably 20-ish Git repos. And kind of everyone had their own little bash script that would do a find and then a CD and a git pull and our pipe to xargs and variations of it. And it's like, someone has to have solved this. Like, this is too common a problem. And I found this, and you do brew install my repos, and you have an mr command. And mr register, mr pull, mr push, whatever the case may be, and it will kind of, the only accommodation you need to make it really clean is to clone all your repos under a common parent folder.
Gotcha.
Which is
every time you say the mr command, I just think of merge request for some reason. That's like the first thing that comes to my head.
Merge request.
Yeah.
I also have one that's tangentially Git related, and that's like GitHub Actions. This kind of seems basic, but it is so nice just being able to run things like a shared command between people in the team. Like, I don't know, we have one that just like regenerates protocol buffer, like autogen code, and not having to like explain new hires or newer people how to do that. You just like commit it and it just works.
So you're letting automation run that action then, or are you like,
yeah,
doing
so
a manual
you
trigger?
push up changes and open a PR, and it does a commit for the actual like regenerated code, and you pull it down and you're good to go. It's but it's so nice just having, it's like a dead simple way to just run things, not on your computer.
My only gripe with like GitHub Actions is what we were talking about before about these commit messages that don't mean anything, right? Try again, try again, try again. The initial setup of getting GitHub Actions to work is like push a new commit, push a new commit, push a new commit.
100%.
Yeah. So
there is a tool to run it locally, but I've never actually been able to get it working.
Yeah, I haven't tried it either.
This was years ago. I had a migration to GitLab pushed on me under the auspices of GitLab CI is amazing. And okay, I'm skeptical, but we'll see. And GitLab CI is managed by a YAML file in the repo. So every tweak to CI requires an edit, a commit, a push, run it on the remote, verify it, merge to main so that other people can get it. So there was just this nonstop churn on little tweaks to CI because it's in the repo.
GitOps recursion.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah, GitHub Actions is the same way. It's like a YAML file in the repo. But if you have it set up to run on a pull request, you can just do all the changes in that pull request and squash it down before you get to main or whatever. It still is a pain, but I don't know. I think the pain kind of outweighs the negatives.
One of the things I like about Garrett is that they have like special, they're not really branches, but like special, I guess, meta parts of what is a repo. So you can like push configuration and things into those things and they don't affect the actual code that you have, which would be like, that'd be like, I wish they'd kind of done things like GitHub Actions that way, where it's like still part of the repo, but it's in its own little chain of commits instead of being part of the main thing.
That'd be nice.
Microsoft
really
did it, and whatever it's called now, Azure DevOps. But back when it was Team Foundation Server, when you created a project, the CI was kind of like Kris is talking about. The CI configuration was separate from the repos. So a project is a set of users and permissions and a set of repos with work item tracking across all of those repos and CI configuration. So you could configure CI separately from repos or have one CI job that could apply to all of your repos if you had this kind of common workflow. But it was similar to that, where the CI was associated with the repo, but not part of the commit history.
One thing I will say at GitHub Actions before we probably go to the next tool is when GitHub Actions released and became more mainstream, man, I stopped hearing about Jenkins, Travis, Circle CI. I just stopped hearing about all of those altogether. Like they kind of just died. Yeah.
Coming from Circle CI, GitHub Actions was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Like Circle CI was weird to me. Like orbs, I didn't know what that meant. Like what that really, it was weird. They had a weird thing going on.
Yeah, don't get me started on it. But also like just not having another tool is nice. Like we're already on GitHub. I don't have to navigate somewhere else, worry about permissioning something else. Like I don't have to do an Okta login to get into my CI.
Yeah.
Saying orbs reminds me, we were on Concourse for CI for a while, and they also had kind of the running gag metaphor. Everything was some kind of air flight related thing. So it was flight controllers and everything had to do with airlines and whatever. So it was odd.
I
It's like you alienate your whole audience. Yeah.
It's something that sounds cute that you should never ship into production.
Yeah.
I worked at a company like that whole brand was like nostalgia, and their repos were named that way. Like their main API was called API Card, Apicard, like the captain of Picard.
Oh god.
Star Trek. And like there was like the whole system that did push notifications was named after Nickelodeon characters, and for no apparent reason. Like in the sub parts of it were different characters, and you just had to know, like Arnold does this part, Arnold does the scheduling, and Cat Dog does the pushing, right? Like it was wild.
Missed opportunity for Arnold to be a email server, like, hey Arnold, like hello. Missed opportunity there.
I did once design a system and I called it the Matrix, and I used like Matrix characters, but like what the characters did in the movie was what the system did, like what that named part of the system did. And I was like, okay, well this is cute, but then no one could really remember them. There was some really weird names like the Merovingian, and you're like, this is silly.
That's way too hard to
have
type.
A problem spelling, so don't do that to me, please.
No, I have a tool though. It's like one of my favorite tools, and that is ZFS. Like I love ZFS. It is such an amazing file system because you can just do so many things with it. And now that I've actually learned how to configure it properly, because I was trying to use it too much like a regular file system for a long time, so I had like, oh, I'll just have this like one mount, and that was where I will dump everything. And that's not how ZFS is meant to work. Like you're supposed to basically make like a new file system for pretty much every directory. Like you can without problem. And then you can have different configurations. So you can be like, oh, have this type of compression on this, and have this other type of compression on this, or don't use compression on these things. And then you can also just individually back up those file systems super easy with like ZFS send and ZFS receive, I think it is. So like backups are super easy to do. It's just like a really great, stable, robust file system. And then all of the Z-RAID stuff is fantastic. Like
you get some level of isolation between the different file systems too, right? Like,
yes. The thing about it is like when you split things up between file systems like that, if you do copy a file from one file system to another, so like one directory to another, it does have to actually copy it. Whereas if you have one big file system, it just does a rename, so it doesn't have to move any data.
Gotcha.
That's like the one downside. But also copying is not usually that slow. But yeah, and also the copy and write nature of it is beautiful. So you can do like snapshots, and if you like accidentally delete something and you have a snapshot, you can go back and get it. There's like lots of nice things about how it's set up. And I think most people use ZFS through TrueNAS, but I actually, like on my servers, I just like install Ubuntu and then install OpenZFS, and it just works beautifully.
Yeah, we use ZFS at work a ton, and it's a fantastic file system.
Of course you do.
I mean, I wonder why we use
it. Of course you do.
Of course we do. Yeah, of course.
You only have the people that like built it working in the company.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Well, I have another software tool that I'll go. Since we're on the file system topic, I'll talk a little bit about a file system based tool, and that for me would be GNU Stow. So GNU Stow is just basically a symlink manager almost. That's really what it does. It allows you to like create symlinks and easily. And I use that for my dot files. So I have my dot files in a repository, and then I just clone them to some new machine, run stow against it, and now they're all linked from like the home directory to where I cloned my repository. So just easy setup. There's like a whole rabbit hole you can go down for dot file management and whatnot. Ansible or Chesmoy or whatever all these other tools are out there for it. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted something simple that just works like across pretty much every system. And that's where Stow.
So heavyweight for dot file management.
Some people do it. Yeah, they manage their whole system with Ansible, and I'm like, why? I don't want to do that.
Yikes. I'm still just airdropping my dot files to my next laptop every time I get one. I should probably set up a repo at some point.
Yeah, put them in a repo.
I do have a repo where I can like upload and just get cloned to pull them, but I don't have anything fancier than that.
Yeah, I think I have my NeoVim config, and I maybe have some of my dot files in GitHub in like a Git repository, and I just
of course I don't have a real fancy setup. My ZishRC has about 30 or 40 lines that aren't in the default setup.
I do have one command that I have set up. I clone all my Git repos to like the same place. So I don't know. I have a command I set up that's just called hop, and then you just type a Git repo, and it'll auto completes and everything, and it automatically CDs there. Not a tool, but like saves me so much time not having to like think about where they're at.
That sounds like a tool to me. That sounds good.
Like a tool. It's better than my I just have a directory called Sandbox and just dump everything in there and then just.
Yeah, mine's Scratch.
Yes, it's Scratch.
Another little hack I have is, so I've set my global git config to ignore anything that has .ignore in it. So we're like, as I'm like prototyping something out and I want to keep a file to reference later, but I don't want it to exist anymore, I just add .ignore to it. And it basically disappears, but I can still open it and see it. I don't know.
I use a Scratch directory for that. Like I have a global git ignore to ignore like .scratch, and anything in a repo that I'm like kind of hacking on, I put in the .scratch directory, and I let it be ignored that way.
Yeah.
One little hack I do for throwaway things is use a subshell to do make temp -d to create a temp directory and do cd $open paren make temp -d close paren, and it creates a random directory in my temp folder and CDs to it. So then I have like a throwaway shell. So it's CD to make temp -d, go mod init, x.y/z, and now I have a Scratch project that I can throw away very quickly.
You know, that sounds better than me just like manually creating a directory in temp sometimes. And like, yeah, that sounds, I should use make temp more often. But it's nice to put things in temp though, because then when you reboot, like it just gets wiped off.
Yeah, right now I do all that Scratch stuff in my downloads folder because it's like the place where everything goes to die.
I have a quick little tangent. Are you all people that like turn off your computer for the day, or do you just keep your computer running forever?
Turn it off?
I don't know when the last time I turned it off.
I know what Kris. I know the type of person Kris is. Perfect. Okay.
I'll restart about once a week.
I restart when there's an update.
Yeah, day to day, I leave my computer on.
All right, so I'm the weird one. I turn my computers off every day.
Also, I have like my MacBook Pro in clamshell mode, so turning it off is like a giant pain.
This is
a
shame.
Like, pull it up, open it. I'm like, I don't have time for all that.
So
that's fair.
I keep mine open so I can get to the Touch ID scanner because I have several things that want.
I bought the keyboard just for that.
Like
with the Touch ID. I also hate this keyboard, but I use it.
Ian's like, I bought a fingerprint reader that happens to come with a keyboard.
Exactly.
I just wish they would sell a Touch ID like button. Just sell me the button. I don't want the keyboard.
It can be its own thing.
That would be amazing.
I never understood that. Why don't they do that? Like that sounds perfect.
Yeah,
that does sound perfect. Or if it was like, I love the trackpad. I'm not a mouse person. Are you all mouse people?
Oh, if they had the Touch ID on the trackpad, that'd be great.
Same.
Like the trackpad is. I also have a mouse, but the only time I touch the mouse is like for like drawing apps where you need like right click and drag and stuff. Like
this is where I cry in Linux.
The trackpad is so nice.
The trackpad is amazing.
Yeah.
I went and got one when I first switched to Mac. I had a Microsoft mouse and a Microsoft keyboard.
Oh.
And after about 6 months of pain, I went and bought an Apple trackpad and a Mac specific DOS keyboard. We were talking before, it's also quite a clacky Cherry MX keyboard.
Give him a sample of the clackiness.
Oh, the DOS keyboard. I thought you meant like DOS. I was like, DOS? Like,
no,
like DOS, like German, yeah.
Let's see, will it come through?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it comes through.
Yeah. Once again, sounds like a tank.
But
nice.
The difference maker is the fact that it has a function key. It's an actual Mac keyboard. So you don't have to learn how to emulate all of the Mac keyboard shortcuts and combinations on a Windows keyboard.
My first mechanical keyboard was a DOS keyboard for the non-Mac edition, though.
It's solid.
It's big. Yeah, it's a good keyboard.
It has built-in volume control. It has two USB ports on the back of it, so I can charge my trackpad off of it.
Nice.
It's very nice.
I think I have the Code Keyboard V3. I need to program this more. I did the most minimal programming of it. Obviously, I set the caps lock button to be, or caps lock key to be control because I'm a sane human and I don't leave such a valuable key doing nothing.
Oh, I have caps lock as shift, not control.
Why do you have it as shift? Shift is right below it.
Yeah,
I have
sometimes
it,
I miss shift and hit caps lock instead.
God. So 2 shifts on the left side? Is that?
Yeah.
That's fair. I have it set to escape. My caps lock is escape.
I've never
versus
gone-
keyboard.
I've never
Caps lock
gone there.
is just shift. Like, I don't.
I have a control right there. I have an escape right there. I have a.
It's easy to miss shift. It's a
my
pinky
caps lock
key. Like,
is still caps lock.
pinky keys
This is
suck.
true.
I mean, like,
Although on my laptop, I have the caps lock set to control on my laptop, and I think I prefer that than having it escape on my keyboard.
yeah.
I never miss
control.
control. I miss shift sometimes, so I'm keeping it as
That's
shift.
fair.
Is like
That's fair.
control. Like, I have to like I use it so much, and I don't want to have to shift my pinky down.
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
I don't.
Wait, oh yeah, okay. It is a pinky key. I was thinking command. My bad. I'm not a very good typist, apparently.
I will say now that I've adjusted to using a Mac keyboard, every time I use my wife's Windows laptop and go to copy something, I hit the window key and it just pisses me off.
I think
That was
command's
me
a better
the other
one,
way.
because I can
That
use
was
my
me the
thumb.
other way.
Well, yeah, but on a Windows keyboard where the command key is like the Windows key.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that like I like the Mac layout better. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to have to
Yeah.
use my pinky to control V. Like
If you just map your caps lock to the control,
Something
then you don't have
reasonable,
to
yeah.
move your pinky. To
hey now.
Although people do, they're like, don't you use Vim? Why don't you have it mapped to escape? Because I have JK mapped to escape in insert mode, which is far superior.
That's actually not bad. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Look, the escape key even fits the Fitz law. It's the one that's at the top left. I don't even have to think about it.
Well, no,
Exactly,
until
yeah.
Apple screwed it up for like
Well, yeah.
3 years with the virtual one with the touch
That
bar
was so
crap.
stupid.
Yeah, that was
And then
garbage.
they made a version of the MacBook that had just the escape key and the touch bar.
Yeah.
Because everybody complained so much. And then they're
It's like, does
okay,
nobody
well,
at Apple use like any text space or any good text editor? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, or I think they probably just have mapped it to something more sane than trying to like once again reach your pinky all the way up to escape. No, thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
I have to
Okay,
use escape
one
way
more
too much.
argument for caps lock as shift. It just
All right,
makes
let's hear it.
sense. Like it changes caps lock changes the case of the letter, and so does shift. Like in my head, it just makes sense. Okay,
It's okay.
like semantically.
We definitely don't think of you as weird right now. That's
I've never felt the need to remap caps lock. Like, I don't know. It just
Do you have it
control
on?
works. It's
Like-
off.
I can't type on other people's keyboards that have caps lock. I hit caps lock all the time when I
Yeah,
do that.
No.
Like, it just
Especially
feels
in the
so
command
bad.
line. No.
Yeah.
So it'll be like Control C, and I'm like, why is he just typing capital C? I'm like, oh, dude, you don't have this mapped.
I do that on my wife's computer. I'm like, what is this? Install carabiner remap. Done with this.
You don't even need to do it. You can just do it in Mac by default.
Oh yeah,
Well,
you can do that, right? Yeah. I'm not gonna do it for her machine.
You can't
though,
map it
'cause
to
she'll yell at
shift
me.
by default.
Yeah, that's be telling you something. Man.
It's trying to steer you into a better direction. Be better, Ian. Well, I guess since we're on the topic of keyboards, I'll just put the one keyboard on my list that I have. So a tool that I like is my ZSA Moonlander keyboard. It's a very customizable keyboard. You're able to hot swap the switches, which is great. So you can change out the switches like I did and put whatever you'd like. I'm rocking these Xylent switches, which are really nice and silent, but also tactile. There's QMK firmware, so you can modify it and flash it however you want and map escape to, over caps lock or put control over caps lock, whatever you want to do. And like they were on a recent changelog episode 608, and the founder was discussing like their values of how they make their keyboards, and I just found myself aligning with what they stood for, right? They like repairability, they like being able to buy something kind of for life, so that's why they don't offer a wireless model. Because they find wireless is not as reliable, and eventually the batteries will die and they have to be replaced, whereas a wired model just lasts really long. So I like the keyboard overall. It's really, really good keyboard.
Why can't I find the buy button on their website? I've been scrolling for like 40 minutes.
I mean, listen,
It's
I didn't say that
literally
they were
all the way
good
at the
software
bottom, and
engineers.
it's the longest page in the world.
Oh, because it's at the top, and when you scroll away from the top, it goes away, the buy button.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, that's
That's
I want to buy your keyboard. You've just convinced me, and now I have to go all the way to the bottom.
Does this one have a caps lock key I can map to shift?
Oh,
Yes, but you shouldn't.
I was going to like mention the Ergo Docs, and this is like the same company. Yeah.
Yeah, same company. Good. Everyone should invest in a good keyboard for them, in my opinion. I had a lot of wrist pain on my previous keyboard. I was on the Prionic, which is, I don't know, it's up here on my shelf somewhere. Loved the Prionic. It was a small little like ortholinear layout keyboard. Love that thing. But I was like, my wrists were just bending to type on that, and my shoulders were like kind of going inward. Not fun.
Yeah. I have like a Prionic, one of the other ones, and I'm like, I want to use you, but I also just don't have the
like
energy
myself. Yeah.
to adjust my fingers to an ortholinear keyboard, even though they are definitely superior. But I'm just like,
Yeah, it took. Oh yeah, when I first. Oh sorry, I guess they heard someone. It took me a minute when I first got this keyboard or an ortholinear keyboard. It took me a minute to go from Stagger to that. A lot of typing practice on like Keyboard.com or Monkey Type.
yeah.
I do Keyboard like every day. It's so nice.
Keyboard's great. It's my favorite one. And they go letter by letter, so you don't, it's really nice.
Like the
probably
crazy people who decide they're going to switch to Dvorak because it's better.
I tried, and I got up to like 80 words per minute, and I was like, "What's the point?"
Do it.
I tried Dvorak, and I don't think I ever got past like 4 or 5 words a minute.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting there like thinking 30 seconds between each key press.
And now you can't type on other people's keyboards. Like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm of the vintage where we had a typing class on mechanical typewriters in high school.
I was gonna say, like, we had a typing class, but not on mechanical
Like
typewriters.
actual mechanical typewriters. So I can touch type to this day, but anything that's not QWERTY just breaks my brain.
Man, what was it like in the 1870s?
Our typing class used like a space adventure game where your hands were inside a box with a keyboard, and like you had to fly your ship doing the. I remember
Could you
that
see
very
your
fun.
keyboard?
Nice.
No, you couldn't see the keyboard.
Okay.
Like
What, no
your
native
hands,
speaking?
the
Come
keyboard had a box over it, and then like
Interesting.
you'd have to like hit letters in time to avoid asteroids or shoot things.
And
When I
now-
like mentor new people, that's my first piece of advice I give them is learn how to type, like touch type and type quickly, because it really does slow you down when you're like hunt and peck two-finger typing.
I watch my kids type with 2 fingers, and it just makes my eye twitch.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be like crazy fast. Like I'm not the fastest typist.
No.
Like I probably only type like, I don't know, 30 or 40 words a minute, which is not fast at all, but like it's still faster than I can think.
It's you don't have to be like 150 words per minute, but if you can get like 60 plus or whatever, or even just be able to look at the screen and not at your keyboard and type and use like more of your fingers, that's good enough. So because then you can read documentation and type, or you can like read your editor and type and not have to like look at your keyboard and such. It's so much better.
Yeah, but
Or
there
not
was a
have the
period
lights on, or
There was
That
a
way,
period
that
of
too.
time when I decided to write 10,000 words a day, and being able to write 100 words per minute made that actually doable.
What is the math there? How many?
10,000 words a day? It's like
100 minutes,
10,
right? 100 words a minute, 100 minutes.
100 minutes.
I can math.
an hour and a half, basically. Yes. It's been
An hour and a half of steady typing is a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah. I had a lot of things I wanted to think about and write down. And I was like, I don't know. I'm going to write like millions of words a month. That sounds fun.
well, speaking of pain,
Map your caps lock to shit. No.
Okay, it's not it's a million words every 3 months, but yeah.
I don't know. You were mentioning keyboards. You got the better one because it helped reduce pain. A good office chair.
Oh, yeah.
This was probably one of the stupidest thing I've ever done. Is when we went to work from home, I never bought a new chair, and I kept the dining room table chair I used for years. And I was like, at one point, I remember thinking like, I'm kind of getting old. I'm like, my back hurts at the end of the day. And I finally bought a new chair. Like I got a Herman Miller Embody.
I had the same one.
I felt younger.
Yeah, it feels really good, this chair.
I just remember
And they have a really good warranty.
Like you'd come over to my apartment and sit in my desk chair, and you'd be like, "Wow, this is really comfortable." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, get a real chair."
And it was like raw plastic. So as you sat in it, you would slump down, like your legs would keep sliding off of it.
Oh God!
Like, and you'd have to sit back in it every hour. It was horrible.
as the frugal old guy, I went with the X chair, which is about half the price of a Herman Miller Embody.
I got mine on a discount, which is the only reason why I bought it. It had like an enterprise discount or whatever, and it like took like $600-700 off, and I was like, okay, that now I feel okay buying this $1,500 chair or whatever.
I just bought mine beginning of December. They were running a sale, and they have they call it an LMAX unit, and it's a fan heating massage thing that attaches behind the lumbar support. And it's really nice, but it was free at the time. It's like a $300 upgrade that was free. And I was kind of the same as Ian. Like, I had an okay chair, but I'd been sitting in it for years. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to splurge and go get a real chair. And,
can I show you all the chair I used to be? It's not good for the audio listeners, but
yeah, go for it.
One second. I'll be right back. This is wild.
It's true though. Getting a good chair or a desk. I was on IKEA chair, IKEA desk for like the longest time, and my IKEA desk was sagging in the middle. It was horrible, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fix this and get a real desk. And I got like a desk house desk, house like HAUS, like house, house, yeah. And man, this desk is super solid, no swaying at any height. It's amazing.
Oh, that's terrible.
This is the chair I sat in for 8 to 10 hours a day for years.
Wow. That's like a dentist waiting room chair.
It's like raw plastic. It has like all the little holes in it.
And it's so slick. Like I said,
you can hear it rattling around. That's so bad.
Yeah, audio listeners, Ian's just holding up like if a chair was a torture device, I think that's what he's
Wow, that I could not sit in that. It's
comfortable to sit in for a meal, and that's about it.
Yeah, for about 15 minutes, and after that, you got to get up.
Yeah.
The stackable chairs at conferences are probably more comfortable.
Yeah, well, they have those big cushions. Those are nice. Yeah. No, I got
the cushion upgrade was extra, so I didn't buy it.
No, when I moved into my new apartment, which was actually right before the pandemic, I was like, okay, I'm just going to get all of the nice things. I'm like going to actually fully like decorate. I'm going to have a whole theme. Like my apartment's very modern, so I went with this very like rustic look. So there's a lot of like reclaimed wood things, and I have like a chandelier that's like the kind of like barn style chandelier with like the exposed iron and all of that. And I was like, yes, I'm going to get all the nice things. So I got this like big desk, and I love it. Uplift is the one where you can like also get a hammock underneath it.
Oh yeah.
Which turned out to be very well when I did my upgrade, because I used to have like all of my audio equipment on my desk, and I was like, I don't have desk space because it's all equipment. So I bought like some rack mounts that you like, vertical rack mounts, horizontal rack mounts, whatever the ones you can attach to walls are. And I mounted them under the desk and rack mounted all of my equipment, and it's very
That's smart.
nice.
I got to do that. My equipment's all on my desk right now, and it's
I
annoying
went
me.
mid-range on the desk. It's just flat, but it is a motorized, adjustable standing desk. But it's just a flat top with no real bells and whistles beyond the push button adjustment to standing height with memory. So it's either all the way down or at memory when I stand up.
Yeah. Speaking of tools that make your life better, one of my favorite tools, and if you've ever seen my Instagram, you know it's one of my favorite tools, is my KitchenAid stand mixer. It is such a beautiful device. You can make so many things with it. You can make, obviously, like anything that goes in the bowl. I have like all of the attachments too. So I have like an attachment to do like egg whites, so I can beat egg whites if I want. I have like an ice cream maker attachment. I have
pasta maker.
What?
The pasta maker attachment.
I have all of the. I think all of the pasta maker attachments.
No, I have the pasta maker attachments and fresh pasta. Like fresh, it doesn't. Pasta, it's a lot of work, but it's so much better.
Yeah,
I have the sausage maker attachment that I've used once.
I have used the pasta maker attachments a number of times. I used to have like a monthly brunch that my friends would come over to, including Ian, and like we'd make things. We'd make like pasta, and everybody'd be like, "Oh, coming to brunch, what should I bring?" I'm like, "Don't bring anything. Just be ready to do some work." And then we'd make like a whole meal from scratch and be lots of fun. And the stand mixer was integral to making.
I've tried to reproduce your tomato soup like 10 times, and I have not gotten it as good.
Yeah, I don't know how. I have this
so
magic
good.
touch with baking and cooking where I just make stuff and I'm like, it's okay. And everybody's like, why is this? This is amazing. And I'm like,
It's the best meal I've ever had.
No, they have been some stellar brunches that I have done.
Yeah.
There's been some that are kind of but like there's been some ones that are just like absolutely fantastic. And I'm like,
We did do hamburgers once, and it was so much smoke that you couldn't see inside the apartment. The alarms were
so
going
many
off.
People that we used the broiler, but I didn't have a broiler pan, so it was just like it was a whole mess. It was a whole big mess.
Since
we are
talking
heavily off
KitchenAids,
topic now.
Nobody gets upset about talking about food, though. Come on.
For everyone who does go out and get a KitchenAid stand mixer, go to flameka.com. It's sticker sets for your KitchenAid mixer. The one I have on mine is R2D2.
That's pretty cool. You can brand them.
Have you seen the TikTok guy that all he does is fix stand mixers?
Oh.
No.
I didn't know that.
Well,
They can break though.
I have not seen that.
They have specific like gears that are meant to break so you can replace them.
Yeah.
Although mine's built like a tank. I've put that thing through so much abuse. So I baked. I used to bake like every single week, sometimes multiple times a week. I'd like bring it into the office. That's how I got to know people. I'd like bake and then bring it in and share it with everybody. It's a great time.
That's awesome.
Look,
But I was doing industrial baking. Like if I was down to like a dozen eggs, I'd be like, oh my God. Or like if I was down to like 5 pounds of flour, I'd start freaking out. Like, I need to go get flour. I don't have enough flour. Something like sugar. I just like so much baking of stuff. And now I'm like, oh, I don't bake anymore. I like baking, but I don't eat it.
You're a podcast host now. You're our editor. You have no time for this.
I have no time for these things. I have so many other things to do. I have writing to do. I have podcasting to do. I have editing to do. Anyway, we should get back on tools.
I have a couple still like tech related ones.
Okay, let's hit them.
So the first one is SourceGraph. I don't know if y'all have used this, but it's basically a code search platform. I mean, you can pay for it to run over all of your own code, and they have some nifty tools like where you can make changes and open PRs across all your repos at once, to like migrate off old versions and stuff. And that's great. But I think the killer feature is it'll search all publicly available code, and which is amazing for like finding examples of things. Like you can search like semantically that says, hey, I want a Go file that imports this library. Right. And then you can go look at that file and see how they're using it. Like, so for like a lot of the AWS SDK stuff does not have good examples in the docs. It'll be like, I need you to send this string, and it doesn't give you the options. Like, there's 6 of them. Yeah. And so I use it a ton for like that specific kind of thing. Like,
yeah. There are only like 163 different service libraries that you can import from the AWS SDK.
But you can say like imports this specific path, right? Like it's really nice.
I use SourceGraph a lot at CrowdStrike. We had a lot of code, and we were running it in-house because security company, lots of rules about not sharing source code outside of our network. But indexed all of our code, and kind of the same thing. You could search for all references to some function across the entire code base trivially, and then use batch changes to go say, hey, we need to do a refactor. Go change X to Y across 120 repos and create a PR for all of them, and click a button and walk away. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even if you can't get your company to, it is a little bit expensive. Even if you can't get your company to splurge to do it for your own code, like it's still a great tool, and I would recommend checking it out. Like,
yeah, kind of related to that, the SourceGraph people also created a tool called Combi that does kind of language aware searching of code. So you can it understands the syntax of a Go file. So the thing that sits behind their query syntax is available in a CLI called Combi, where you can kind of do code transforms on your code locally without having to pay for SourceGraph.
Nice. Speaking of searching, I have a tool that is a search engine. So I use Kagi for my search engine. It is a paid search engine, so you do have to pay for it. But I was on Google for a while, and then I went to DuckDuckGo, and I just found the quality of the search results from both of those platforms to just fall off in later years. And Kagi has been very wonderful to use. And it's one of the few things that I pay for that I'm pretty happy with so far. It's a little expensive. I pay for like the duo plan for my wife and I. A little expensive, but I enjoy it a lot. And my searches don't suck anymore.
And I assume there are no ads.
No. Oh, yes, that as well. No ads, because I was getting very frustrated with Google and DuckDuckGo, mainly Google, like showing you 10 entries of ads before they show you one entry that's not an ad. And I'm like, come on, man.
Even as a baseline, if you search for something that you know is going to be exactly one hit, the first link will be a sponsored ad link, and the third one is the same address.
Yeah.
I always click the
gets really
sponsored ones if they're there. I don't know why. It's just like a little spiteful thing I do.
You're giving them money. How dare you?
Well, I'm costing them money.
If you do that, they
This
think
is
it's
true.
working, so then they'll keep paying.
They'll keep doing it. Yeah. You're why we have sponsored links.
Well, they're
It's
not
all
going to
your
stop
fault.
doing it because I don't click it, but I can cost them 1/10 of a cent, you know? Like,
This is true.
Yeah. I used to,
I
I do that. I employ that level of petty with when I get a bill from, like, say you move and you get a bill from the cable company for $3. Like, I'm going to send them $3.18 so that they have to pay someone to go process that and write me a check to refund 18 cents. Just because.
Oh, it's...
You're so funny.
Ian, don't you work for an ad company?
So you do want sponsored links to be there.
I only do in-app. I don't do
Okay.
Web.
Okay.
But yes, I do work for an
define
ad
what
company.
app is actually.
iOS, Android, Unity, CTV.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
What is CTV?
streaming like Hulu, like
okay.
any kind of streaming that uses vast. We can get into it, but we don't need to. Just think like
That'd be a fun
streaming
episode
platforms.
one day.
Yeah.
How does ad tech work? Ad tech is cool. Like, I have a friend that works at Pepsi, and he was explaining to me like how all of this, like how like the actual like the market, the auctions work, and like the rebidding, and like and all this happens in like 100 milliseconds or
Oh,
less.
yeah.
I'm like, this
Oh
is
yeah, there's whole
crazy.
companies that just do like supply chain optimization, like connecting you through the right pipes that are the cheapest, and like
It's crazy.
it's kind of crazy.
We should definitely have an episode on this topic. This would be a good topic to talk about.
You're also like doing a whole auction in
Yeah.
half a second, right? Like it's
Well, that's
pretty
the
cool.
thing he was describing like doing an auction, and sometimes the winner of that auction runs their own auction because they just like and I'm like, that's some fast tech. It's obnoxious, but it's cool. Like ads are
Yeah.
really annoying, but the tech behind it is really, really cool.
It is. It's fun to work on.
Any other software tools to round out the software stuff?
I have one more.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, this one feels like it might be kind of unpopular because I don't know, but the JetBrains like data IDE, data grip, is phenomenal. And you might say like, why do I need IDE for like connecting to MySQL and all of that? And the answer is you don't. But the thing about data grip is it connects to everything. You know, I don't need a separate tool for MySQL, for Postgres, for Redis. Like if it's vaguely database shaped, data grip will connect to it, it's just so nice to have it in one tool.
I feel like I've had data grip in the past, and it's useful when you're doing like a lot of exploratory things because you can just like have all your queries and then save them and do all this. It's like
Postman for databases in a sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Kind of. And you can like save off projects if you have like queries you have to run a lot or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's way overkill, but the fact that it connects to everything is super nice.
I use dbeaver for that. It's similar. Biggest advantage is it's free, but it doesn't connect to everything. But it's similar where instead of running PSQL in a terminal, you can actually type a query in an editor and then hit F5 to execute it.
Here I am, p-SQLing around everywhere, or cockroach, SQL or whatever.
Yeah, that is another nice feature in Data Grip is like I can have a file, like a file full of SQL things, and I can highlight one and just execute one of them.
Yeah.
Right. Like
PHP
little quality of life things. I also lied. I have one more after this.
I do have one, and it's a bit of a self plug, and maybe not everyone has this problem, but I had a situation where I needed to be able to switch between Go versions. We're doing exploratory testing on the RC1 of the next version, or we need to jump back to the prior version. True is fine, but it only installs one version. And there are some other tools out there, but a coworker and I put together a bash/zish script to download and install an arbitrary version of Go and switch between them. We called it govers. It's on my GitHub. And you basically run govers use Go 123.4. And then you want to go use the 124 release candidate. Govers use Go 124 RC1. And behind the scenes, it uses Go install. So, little known fact, Go does have its own version manager. It's called Go install. You do Go install and give it Go and the version number, and then that has a download command. So in 2 commands, you can install a new version of Go. And we kind of wrap that up in a shell script to do that, and then munge your path and your Go path and a couple of other things. But the upside is when I have to switch Go versions, it takes me about 5 seconds.
I've been using the built-in Go stuff for that, honestly. But this is cool. I'm looking at the script you have here. Very nice.
I just always install the latest, and I've never come across the need to really downgrade.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like Go is supposed to backwards compatibility thing. I should be able to always be on the latest.
Where it really came up for me was jumping to the new version, but having the old version available as the default, because that's what the rest of the dev team is still using.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Gotcha. All right, my last one.
Last
Go
tech one?
Yeah, last tech one. Another Go specific one, but it's Mage, which is like make, but in Go, which sounds not great, but it's
you're selling it here. You're selling
on the
it.
surface, it looks silly, but the best part about it is the way I use it is importing I've already used the AWS SDK as a thing, but the AWS CLI sucks. Having to paste in JSON values is horrible, right? So just being able to use the Go SDK to build a command, I can just say Mage, do this thing, right? And it's in a Go file. I already use the SDK every day in my job. It's super nice. And I suppose I could use a make file to do the same thing, but being able to write it in Go and have it or import pieces of my code base to run things is really nice.
Yeah, I've played with it a bit. It's nice.
I don't use it like I would use a make file though. I use it for almost like building really simple CLIs that I don't have to build the CLI for.
Yeah, it makes sense. I've heard of it. I never use it though, but I've heard of this tool a few times. They've
kind of built out the scaffolding of the equivalent of make, where you can have targets and dependencies, and they'll build a dependency graph and run all your targets in the right order when you just run Mage.
Probably should have explained what it did, but yeah, what Dylan said.
Yeah, If I remember correctly, it's kind of phrased that way on the website. It's make, but in Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would not recommend it as a replacement for make.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like that. But as its own tool, it's pretty great.
That's nice.
So you're out of all tech tools right now. Who else has some tech tools they want to talk about?
It's the obvious one. It's NeoVim. I love NeoVim so much. It's like such a beautiful, beautiful editor. I also am super excited because I'm started switching from iTerm 2 to Ghosty, and I listened to the changelog episode with Mitchell, and he said that there's lots of nice feature integration between NeoVim and Ghosty, so I'm excited to see and try those things out. But NeoVim is just it's such a nice in between for an editor. It's it's in between an editor and an IDE. It has all of these nice features built into it by default that Vim didn't have. It has has tree sitter built into it. It has an LSP client. All of the config you can do in Lua, which is really nice. It has a nice plugin system. It's just a very nice editor, and it's so powerful. I love it.
Lua's great until you realize it's one indexed, and you mess everything up all the time.
Yeah.
Is that just me? Is that just me?
I don't like the one index thing, but you don't really fight that a lot in Vim config.
That's fair.
I just had a Visual Basic flashback. There's also one based by default, but you can do option based 0 to make it 0 based.
Oh God,
lovely.
That's worse. The worst of all worlds.
Yeah, choice. How dare they? I agree. NeoVim is a very good tool. I still have my config ready. Even though I'm using Helix nowadays, I really like NeoVim. It's a good editor, and I spent the time to make my config all Lua based, and it's beautiful now.
Yeah. Once I rewrote my config, and also just it's so easy to get set up with a new language in NeoVim because it has an LSP client built in. So you just have to use Mason or do a little bit of config. It's the config is not hard to do. You just do Mason, and then while you're in just open NeoVim, and then you're okay, Mason install this LSP, and then boom, you're pretty much good to go. Maybe throw a tree sitter config in there as well. Now you have syntax highlighting, you have all the autocomplete and all of it. It's so quickly, it's so easy to get up and running with something quickly.
That's one thing I'm missing in Helix is Mason. Being able to install the LSP actual servers is really nice. And Mason did it. They didn't globally install it either. They install it in
specifically for NeoVim.
For NeoVim, which is really nice.
It easy to manage them. It would tell you when there's updates, or it tells you when there are updates. It's really nice. I very much I especially enjoy Tree Sitter as well. Tree Sitter is such a cool
Tree Sitter is
project.
amazing. Yeah,
I've heard the term tree sitter a million times, and I still have no idea what it is.
So Tree Sitter is basically how to explain it? Mostly it's used for syntax highlighting, but it's a way to kind of progressively parse a syntax tree for a language. So it can parse it, even if there's errors in it, it can parse the stuff that's still correct and give you information back about it. And then you can attach things in to do syntax highlighting and other things you might want to do, error detection. You can do linting with it. So and it has very nice integrations, especially with NeoVim, where the overlays are good, and the other thing about it is it's super fast. So it's super fast and super lightweight, so it doesn't bog down your system.
It's a piece of code that sits on the syntax tree as you traverse it.
Yeah.
I don't know if aspirationally trying to switch to NeoVim, but right now I'm so ungodly slow in it that I can't do it for work.
You kind of have to take the hit as you have to take that week or two hit and get over that hump first, and then you'll be like, oh, how do I use an editor with a mouse anymore? Who does that?
Yeah. One of the things I did when I was learning NeoVim is I turned off the arrow keys in normal mode, so I had to learn how to use HJKL, and that sped things up for me a lot. But yeah, it tends to take a week to adjust to it, but then after that week, you're moving so much faster than you were before.
I don't know if NeoVim has this, but Helix does. You can, with Tree Sitter, you can actually move you can navigate using the syntax tree. so I can like jump to the next function or jump to the next argument in the function. I don't know if NeoVim has that as well. I don't remember.
It does.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You just
That's
have to,
so freaking useful. I love the capability.
Yeah, because you can just like make a config, I think, that just like loads when the file loads, and it can be like, okay, jump around. Also, you can do that with the LSP, but yeah, you can do that with treesitter, which is nice because it like knows the objects of the language you're writing.
Yeah, I really like that. It's nice to do that, especially when you want to like highlight a specific part of the syntax tree, and you don't want to like, use you don't want to enter like visual mode and like use HJKL and do it manually. You can just do it like with a motion.
It's really nice. Yeah, treesitter, definitely awesome tool. If you're not using it, you should use it.
Well, I heard Ghosty mentioned, and Dylan has that on his list. Do you want to speak to that a little bit, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been following Mitchell for years, and I was not in the non-public beta, so I was jealous of everyone. I bounced around, used default, then iTerm. I was using of course, I'm going to draw a blank.
Terminal.app?
No, the Warp terminal for a while. It's nice. It has some cool features. But Ghosty it appeals to me in terms of being lightweight. It's super fast. You can kubectl logs and get a million lines of text, and your terminal doesn't fall over.
Mitchell mentioned that you can like cat out a binary. If you cat out a binary, you're just gonna see garbage, and like your terminal's probably gonna hang. He's like, you can do that in Ghosty, and it just loads. I did it. It super fast. It just loaded. I was like, this is amazing. I'm sure there was an escape sequence somewhere, like that was entered. So I probably shouldn't use that session anymore. Ding, ding, exact ding. I'm sure like I shouldn't have used that session anymore. But it was amazing how fast it was. I was shocked.
Yeah, I'm still in the exploratory phase for all of the extra features. It would be nice if there was a config that didn't open a text file, and you have to go learn their config language.
Their config language is nice though. I like this
command
line flags.
There's only 50 options, aren't there? Like,
there's a ton of options.
There's a lot, but like there's maybe like 50 that you would probably care about.
Yeah.
Like reasonably.
I also switched to Ghosty, and the thing I miss the most is like just really simple Control F find.
Yeah, that's a very, very popular ask for issue that's in the pipeline.
But it is
eventually
stupid fast. Stupid fast.
Trying to see if there's any other software tools here. I think I have the last software tool here. So this is the only software that I actually feel like the money I put in and pay for it, I get value out of. And it is 1Password. I think it's like $50 or $70 a year for this thing.
It's only like $35 a year, isn't it?
Something, right? It feels cheap.
The family plan, I think, is $70 now.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm on the family plan.
I also pay for it, and it's worth every penny.
Right. I'm like, I don't want to say this on a podcast because they might be listening, but I'm gonna say it anyway. If they like raise that price, I'd still pay for it because I get really good value out of 1Password, and I feel like there are other pieces of software that I pay for that I'm like, I don't get $20 a month worth of value out of you. Why can't you be like 1Password where I pay you much less and I get so much value out of it?
The only machine I have where I don't have it because it doesn't work well is an old Windows laptop that doesn't have a fingerprint scanner.
Yeah.
Because it definitely works best with either face unlock or some biometric unlock because it's safe. It locks itself.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that and it locks itself after 10 minutes and you need another password and now you have to go type the long password that is kind of its tagline. You have one good password that unlocks all of your other passwords.
I don't mind that. I mean, I don't use the BioLock on Linux much, but I do use the OP CLI tool, 1Password CLI tool. That thing is amazing. I use that in scripts. I use that myself just to get secrets out really quickly, and I don't have to unlock the actual thing. It's just it's authored already, and I use their SSH agent, which is really nice.
Yeah. One downside is the rest of your family will yell at you for having passwords that they can't remember, and you just have to yell back at them that you shouldn't be able to remember your passwords anyway.
Yeah, that's me with my parents. My wife and I, though, we share a vault, and anything that we're both meant to log into, we put in there, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
Gone are the days where I have to like tell her the Wi-Fi password or anything. It's just there.
What's the password to Verizon? I don't know. It's in one password.
Have fun. Love you. Bye.
I do like that they're also starting to build out like a developer platform, so they're doing secrets automation, which is really cool. With like 1Password Connect, I'm like, this is nice. I like how 1Password is laid out as far as like a vault system goes.
Yeah.
They're really the only ones I trust. Like, what was it called? Not Authy.
LastPass.
LastPass leaked all the passwords. Like,
yeah, they got hit.
I think they were still
hard.
encrypted, but yeah, they got pwned. That was bad.
Yeah, that I could never imagine. Like, if one, I trust 1Password. Maybe too much. Maybe I trust them too much.
We used LastPass for work and had to rotate everything.
Yikes.
Oof.
And it was not fun. And it's like, now we use Okta, which has the worst password manager.
Oh, ew. Yeah.
Okta.
Oh, yeah.
I don't hate
Okta's great for SSO, just not for passwords.
Yeah. I don't hate
you combine the two.
But it's very...
you have your Okta password in 1Password.
I do have my Okta password in 1Password.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Kris?
I said I don't hate the keychain, so iOS's like password and other things management app that syncs between everything. But 1Password is just like so much nicer. It's not like completely integrated with macOS, which is nice.
I'm surprised Apple doesn't buy them.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely do not like Chrome's password manager. I'm like, every time they try to be like, "Do you want to save that?" I'm like, "No, get out of here."
That's the one thing I don't like about the state of password managers is everything's trying to have its own password manager, and it's like Firefox is trying to say, "Do you want to save it here?" Do you want to save it here? And I'm like, I have 1Password. Leave me alone. I'm taking it already. Leave me alone. Thank you.
Proton's over here being like, "Oh, we should use Proton."
Oh yeah,
Pass.
Proton. I'm like, no, dude,
get out of
work
here.
on your calendar, make your calendar faster, and then we'll talk. Like, come on.
Like, yikes. Yeah, no, it can be messy. It can be quite messy.
Yeah, for sure.
I do love passkeys though. If there's like another
passkeys are great.
thing, passkeys. We should have had these in the 90s. Like, we would have prevented so many problems if we just did this in the 90s.
Do you use it with 1Password or with a hardware key?
I used to use it with a hardware key, but now I use it with 1Password.
Same.
And it's like, it just pops up. You just click. I love the login pages where it just looks for passkeys, so you can just
it's just instant.
Up, you just click. It's beautiful. I love
That's how my GitHub is now. It's so nice.
Yes, I have a 1Password passkey for GitHub, and it's so much nicer.
Yeah, I'm just like passkeying everything everywhere I can. I'm just like, yes.
Same.
Okay. Should we do some non-tech fun things?
Yes, I want to nerd out about this. I love B5 size paper. I just love it. I love it so much. So for people that don't know.
Yeah, I need you to explain this because I don't even know what you meant by that.
So in the US, right, we have weird names for our paper, right? You got like letter and legal and tabloid, a whole bunch of other crap. In more sane places, they don't have random names. They have sizes based on a ratio. And every time you decrease a number, you basically have the size of the paper along one of the edges. So you have like A0, which I think is like a square meter or something like that. And then you have like A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, and it's like basically halving every time. So if you take like two A1 sheets, that makes an A0 sheet. If you take two A4 sheets, it makes an A3 sheet. So it's the metric system. This is the metric system for papers, and it's very nice because everything just like fits together very beautifully. So the equivalent of letter in the U.S. is A4. They're basically roughly the same size.
A4 is taller.
A4 is taller.
Does not fit in a folder.
It does not.
Sorry.
So they also have these B sizes, which sit between two A sizes. So it's like slightly above. So if you have like A0 and A1, then B0 sits between the two, and it uses a slightly different ratio. But B5, because you have like A4, which is like letter. So that's like really giant and really annoying to write on and unwieldy in like notebooks and things. But then you go to A4, so you go to A5, and that's like kind of too small. Like I have like some A5 notebooks like here. They're like nice, but they're like, I always want like a little bit more room. And that's where
room
B5,
like horizontally, like more line room or more number of lines.
both. I just want like a slightly bigger.
You just want a little bit
page.
more. Okay.
Yeah. And so B5 fills that perfectly. It's basically like the composition. I think it's usually called composition in places, the size, and it's just it fits so well with everything I want. Like I don't find myself running out of space on a page nearly as much as I did with A5 notebooks. So I enjoy it very,
I
very
think
much.
I have a bunch of A5s here, and I do run out of line space sometimes, and I do like run out of the page as well, and I have to either use up a little bit of the next page, which really sucks,
Yeah.
or like
Cram
not
something in.
write that down or write it in
Yeah.
between the lines somewhere else, and that feels bad.
Yeah. So B5 is really nice. And also like the metric system, it's funny because they also have like they used to have C and some countries kept the C, but they also designed it so that you can put like the reason you have the B sizes is so that you can fit like an A size sheet of paper in a B size envelope. And then they also had these C envelopes that were slightly bigger. So you could put a B envelope inside of a C envelope. And it was a very nice system of being able to like put things together and very like I just love that about it. It's like a very well thought out design for paper. But B5 is a very nice size, and I enjoy it very, very much.
Okay, so we're on paper.
We're on paper.
So no, this is great. We're on paper. So B size 5 paper. Is there like, do you pair this size with a paper type then?
Yes. I mean, I do. Okay. So here's the thing, right? B5 paper is extremely difficult to get in the US. So
Okay.
basically the only place you can reliably get it, besides online, is at Muji stores. And Muji, for some reason, refuses to stock dotted B5 paper.
What is dotted? Is that like the grid dots
Yeah, the grid
essentially?
dots,
It's
yeah.
graph paper, but dots instead of lines.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
they only have the actual like lined graph paper, which it's okay. I don't
like,
hate
yeah.
it as much as I thought I would, but I do miss the the dot grid. I love
Yeah.
dot grids. Like all of my one of my other things we're gonna have all my other notebooks are dot grid, and it's beautiful.
Back
Yeah, I
in
use
my
the
aspiring,
Oh,
I was
go
going to say,
ahead.
back in my aspiring mechanical engineer days, I only wrote on graph paper. It indentations for taking notes, and everything's evenly spaced, and I could draw pictures and graphs and things. Now I don't write on anything. I type everything. But
Yeah.
instead of having a binder or a notebook, I had a pad of graph paper.
Yeah. Ruled paper is the most garbage of all.
Yeah, I was a math major in college, and I have terrible handwriting. And the only way I could like actually read what I did was doing it on graph paper. But I hated like the distracting lines because they're kind of dark compared to everything else. So I found this graph paper, I think it's called white lines, where the squares are like
white lines.
the lines are white and the paper's like off gray. And it's great. I can't find it anymore, but it was the
I have a
perfect
question
math.
about everyone that's writing on dotted graph paper. Are you keeping your lines in one like cell's worth like height?
When I write, oh yeah, usually.
Yeah.
What is the all right, so what is the height of a cell then? Is that called ruling for graph paper too? Like, is there different like heights? Because I have a notebook over here that's graph paper. But
You
like
can have different graph, you can have different grid sizes.
grid size. Okay, there you go. I have a notebook here that's graph, but it's so the size is so small that I find out that I don't want to write in it. I just want to draw in this one. I don't want to actually write in this one.
yeah.
So I think I need a larger grid size.
I
Slightly
like
larger.
3/16 of an inch for the grid side.
Oh yikes! Just use.
Oh, I don't have a ruler over here. But
I don't know if that's like the official size, but when I measure it, it's like 3/16.
That feels very tiny. 3/16 is small.
so B size paper, graph, Muji stationery. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Lechrum. How do you say it? Lechrum.
Electroom, 1917.
Yeah, their dotted notebooks. I think it's kind of a basic option now. Everyone loves them, but they They're great.
Their notebooks, I just, because I also wrote this down as one of mine. I just love their notebooks. I love that they have the little elastic band hold everything together. I like that they have the bookmarks. I like that they have the pocket. Nice.
The pocket in the back is clutch.
What do you mean by the bookmarks? What is that?
So there's little like
multiple strings.
Okay. And that's different than the elastic. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So there's the elastic part on the side, so you can just go around it. And
Yeah, I think I like the one size up from you, Kris.
Oh yeah,
I like the big ones.
The A4s, yeah. They had B5 sizes of the Lectrum 1917 notebooks. So I have some of those, which are nice as well.
So still,
go ahead.
I was gonna say still on paper. I have more paper related ones.
Oh yeah, let's go for it.
Pencils. The Uni Kiritoga is the greatest pencil ever made. It's made by Uniball.
Is this a mechanical?
It's a mechanical pencil, but as you type, not as you type, as you write, there's a little gear mechanism that rotates the lead all the way around, so you never get a sharp point. It's always like the same sharpness.
That's pretty amazing.
I've been using them since college, and they're amazing.
I have a Kohinoor mechanical pencil that I picked up back in my mechanical engineering days when we had to do physical drafting on paper that I've been using for years, but it doesn't have the fancy auto-rotating lead. Now I'm going to have to upgrade.
That is very fancy. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, and
are we a pen or a pencil group here? What do you all prefer as your writing instrument?
Pencil.
Pen.
I'm a pen person.
I'm a pen. I'm like a 0.38 millimeter pen kind of person. Maybe sometimes I can do a 0.7, but usually 0.38 millimeters.
I have a 0.7 because I tend to write hard and break 0.5 lead, but pencil and print.
If you write cursive, you're a psychopath.
I write in block letters like I'm in kindergarten.
100%. Yeah.
Cursive. This reminds me, my mom's always like, they don't teach kids cursive in school anymore. How are
I
they
can't
gonna
even
know how to
read
sign
cursive.
their name on a check?
Reading cursive is impossible.
Sign their name on a check. Who writes checks, Mom? Yeah,
I can write cursive. I just don't. I mean, print everything. But I have a weird hitch where I write lowercase e's backwards for some reason.
What?
Like I start at the tail and go right to left.
Okay.
And close the loop.
But you write them like facing the right direction. You said backwards. I meant like
no,
I meant like they're flipped. I was like, what?
They're facing the right direction, but I start at the end.
Okay.
I still have to think which direction a Z goes every time I write it.
Really?
How often do you write a Z?
It's like it starts
like it takes me a second. Like
yeah, I mean
it's a 2 with pointy edges.
Yeah.
I like writing in cursive like for cards. If I'm writing in someone's card or something like that, then I'll write in cursive.
That, so.
I always have to get someone else to read a card that is written in cursive.
Yeah. But also like I grew up like mainly being raised by my grandmother because she was the one like home, and she would write everything in cursive. So like I kind of got used to that.
Yeah.
The only thing remotely cursive is is my signature, and then the only thing recognizable is the D and the B.
Yeah, my signature is one of those you can't.
So it's like recognize. There's a D there.
Scribble in a line, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. There's a D and a squiggle, and then a B and another squiggle.
Like you can see where like the K and the T and the dot on the I is in my signature, but that's about it.
One more weird paper thing. Only tangential. I can't even talk today. But I have this
tangential.
I have this hardened steel ruler by Starrett, which is like stupid expensive. It's like a $35 ruler that's 6 inches long, but it's hardened steel and it's sharp. Like, so you can use it to cut with, you can use it like with a pencil, you can use it to open a box. It is sharp and it is rigid. I don't know. Like, you know, like those things where it's just like really nice to have in your hand.
Yeah.
That is what this like.
And it's a multitasker.
It is.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I have a wooden ruler here, and it's miserable.
I have so many rulers lying all over the place. I also say any stationery things from the Muji store I love, especially like their highlighters. their highlighters are so. They're just so satisfying to click and to use, and they're so nice.
I need to pick up some highlighters. That's one thing I don't really have. When I'm doing like writing, I write with my Lamy Safari fountain pen. And I like that pen specifically because they're cheap, right? Like it's a cheap fountain pen that's very ubiquitous. It's like the Honda Civic of fountain pens, essentially. It's just everywhere. There's parts for it all everywhere. It really is. I mean, not to disparage its quality or anything, but it's just, you see fountain pens. That's going to be one of the first ones that you're going to see.
There are millions of people who get hundreds of thousands of miles out of their Honda Civic.
Yeah, I got a nice yellow one here. It's very nice.
Yeah, that's the one that's in movies and everything, right? Like, you see that all the time.
It's very satisfying to write with, and it made me like love physical like writing again.
Does it bleed through the paper?
No.
I do have a really nice cross pen that my kids got me for my birthday one year because it's a Darth Vader pen. I can't put my hand on it right now. It's in a bag, but it's black with red stripes on it, and it has like a Darth Vader head on the cap clip, and it's a really nice pen. It's weighty, it kind of the same. It's nice to write with. So when I do use a pen, it's that one. But I'm very much a pencil person.
Also say, as far as note cards go, I really like the Baron Fig Strategist note card. They are very nice. They have a dot grid on one side and they're blank on the other, and they're just very.
Is that for like taking quick throwaway notes? Is that for like flashcarding? What is?
I usually because sometimes when they want to like ideate, like I want to do system design, or if I'm like thinking about a big article, I'll just like go to my like kitchen counter and I'll just like start writing down note cards and like putting them all over the place, and then we can like move them around to move the ideas around. So that's what I do, and they're like
what are they called again? Sorry,
they're called Strategist by Baron Fig. Yeah,
I'm loving this stationery and writing instrument talk. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm loving this.
There's something so satisfying about paper.
Yeah.
Like, you thought you were listening to a software podcast? Absolutely not.
Paper is technology, so technically we're in with it.
That's amazing.
I also like I like Baron Fig's pens too. They have some nice, like their Squire pen is pretty nice. I like some of their notebooks, but I definitely like the Lectrum 1917 notebooks like way more. That's like my go-to. But Baron Fig makes some really nice stuff. They also make some really nice rulers. We're in the market for a ruler, so
very, very nice. Any more left on the stationery before we dive into some other tools?
Do I have any more? I don't think so.
Okay. I will change the subject slightly to now no longer stationery and writing, but more of audio and video. So I really like I like my audio and video setup, but I'm not going to go into details about that because there's different budgets and different things that everyone can get into. I'll just talk about a few things that I like. So one is the headphones I'm wearing. So they're the Beyerdynamic DT990 Pros. And I specifically went with this model because they're open back. So like my ears can breathe and I can hear what's going on in my room. Like my dogs right now are next to me and I can hear them like, fussing around a little bit. And it feels nice. My ear can breathe all day and I can wear it. And then I drive these headphones with a Shit Valley headphone amp. And that's really the way you pronounce it. It's SCHIIT, shit. I drive it with a headphone amp, and they're really good too. And I can hear a lot of stuff. At first I was a little skeptical about like a headphone amp, and I was like, oh, I don't need this. I hear things fine. Oh, no, and then I used it for playing video games, and I was like, oh, I hear things that I never heard before. This is amazing. And it was just such a difference in quality of audio, like listening.
Oh man, video games are harder to type. It's a fun little thing. I have the headphones. I have the Honda Civic of the podcaster headphones, the MDR 7506s from Sony. They're like, the headphones that studio engineers used to master lots of albums and back in the day. They are like the classic headphones, and I love these things. So
are those closed back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's better for that type of work.
Yeah, they're definitely meant for like mastering too. So they have a very flat like response to them. So
yeah. I like that.
So
a
it's
lot.
good for like if you need to EQ things, you can actually hear things properly.
They're at the other end of the spectrum, I have open back and front and sides. I have the open run Shox bone conduction headphones.
Do you find that they stay like secure to your head and ears?
They do. Even like running around, I wear them when I do yard work. The only downside I've found is because your ear is open, if you're in a noisy environment, you kind of can't hear. So when I do yard work, I have some like memory foam earplugs that I'll put in to block out the lawnmower so that I can hear the music or whatever I'm listening to. But they're very comfortable. They're ultralight. I can jerk my head around and they don't move. They obviously can't produce the bass that actual over-ear cans do because they're a tiny driver vibrating your jawbone. But they're comfortable, and I can hear, as you said, everyone else if someone's calling me from the other room, or kind of ambient noise conversations, so I can listen and not. Was it someone else a couple of weeks ago mentioned like they had put in like the Apple noise canceling headphones, and it's uncannily quiet because it blocks out the world, and I never really enjoyed that. So it's nice to be able to have sound but not have full noise canceling where someone has to come up and slap me if they need my attention.
Yeah,
that is one of the things I love about Apple AirPods Pro now is the whole adaptive mode where it's like both noise canceling and not. It's beautiful. It does get rid of that eerie noise cancellation dead zone thing.
I love the eerie noise cancellation. It's my favorite thing in the world, but my partner hates it because they'll be like talking to me and I don't hear a thing. Yeah, I don't know. The whole reason I switched to Apple headphones, one was the wireless is nice, and two was the noise cancellation. Like before that, I had a pair of I think like the Audio-Technica M50s, whatever. But it's just like not worth it to me to have a wire. Yeah. Like they sound way like even these stupid expensive ugly things. The AirPods Max sound way worse than a cheap pair of nice wired headphones.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have the Sony XM3s or whatever, MX3s. I don't know which one they are for my noise canceling needs when I'm out and about. But the left can is going out. I have to like smack it a few times for it to work. It's fine.
I have a pair of. Woo.
They're great. They're a great pair of headphones. I just wish one can was working.
What was it? Changelog and Friends? Or was that just the episode last week? You're just like smacking them.
Oh yeah, I was just I had them on. I was just smacking my head like work, and it did. It worked. Oh, good technology. It's fine. I just don't want to pay another like $400 or $500 for another pair of them. So if I can keep smacking it away for now, it'll work.
I thought the Sonys were only like $300 or $350 now.
I think the $350, right? I don't even know. Something around that line. I don't like spending money on myself like that. You know, I get weird. I over scrutinize my purchases for myself, but if somebody else needs something that's like $500, I'll be like, yeah, no problem. Here, have fun. I'm weird. Yeah, I'm weird.
I love buying myself little presents. And by little presents, I mean expensive things.
Yeah.
This is my second pair of AirPods Max. AirPod Maxes, whatever you call them.
AirPods Max. Yeah.
And I don't know why I bought the second pair after the first one broke. Like,
you wanted some USB-C.
No, these are still Lightning.
Oof.
Yeah, my first pair broke like 3 months after the warranty was out.
Oh no.
Sounds
and I would not recommend these to anyone.
Yikes.
They're not good headphones.
They look interesting though. Like they're cute. You know?
The mesh in the middle has like gone slack, so they leave 2 divots in my head where these hard metal bars just sit on my head.
That hurts.
Oh.
I replaced the pads and the leather on my DTs. Like I just order them and replace them all, which is really nice because these headphones I bought like 6-7 years ago now. So they're rocking. I have a backup pair too. I have a backup pair.
That reminds me of 4 or 5 years ago when my son just was adamant they both wanted Beats headphones. And I was like, no, they're terrible. They're awful headphones. They're going to fall apart in 8 months, and then it's going to be a waste of money. No, they're not. They're great. Of course, I gave in because they're my kids. And now we have probably 5 different pairs of Beats headphones in various stages of brokenness in a box.
That sounds right.
I have a pair of the Beats like Solos that Apple put out, and they're amazing headphones. They're
I
tiny.
miss my Skull Candies. Those are great at the time. I remember those things. Those are good.
I had Skull
Actually,
Candies
those
for a long
headphones like
time.
garbage, and they like didn't break. Those good days.
I had a pair of in-ear Skull Candies, and instead of silicone tips, they had memory foam tips, and they were amazing because you just kind of squeeze them down to nothing, and you put them in your ear, and then they expand out. So you didn't need the over-ear clip. They didn't have to have the mold to fit your ear to not fall out. So they were great.
I must have a very average ear because every pair of headphones I've ever bought just fit perfect.
Sometimes they don't fit well. I have to swap out the
others fit. None of the Apple AirPods have ever, even the pre-AirPod when they were wired, Apple's in-ear headphones, I just assume not put them in my ear because they fall out after 30 seconds.
Whoops.
Yeah. Well, moving into video a little bit here because I see this is on Kris's list as well.
Yes.
But I'll open up the door here. So I have a Blackmagic Ultra Studio Recorder 3G. It's this thing right here. I'll hold it up for the camera. It's basically like a little gray metal box that has USB-C on one end and HDMI, and I forget what this video
SDI.
is. SDR? Thank you.
SDI.
Yeah, SDI ports on the other side. So this is Thunderbolt 3. Basically, you plug it into a Thunderbolt 3 port, and you plug your camera or whatever you want to capture into the HDMI, and you get the ability to have a capture card. And that's what I use to record myself or have a virtual camera through OBS. And why I have the Blackmagic specifically is because it has really good Linux support compared to something like Elgato, which has like no Linux support at all.
Yeah, Blackmagic Design. I mean, I remember back when I was in college and Blackmagic Design like just burst onto the scene, and we were all like, "Yo, this stuff is cheap, but so good," and it was so good, and it continued to be so good. Like I actually kitted out my desk when I did my build out. I actually wanted to be able to capture on my MacBook Pro and my Mac Pro in case I wanted to switch between them and to have like a backup.
Yeah.
So I like bought some Blackmagic capture cards, and I actually decided to do the crazy thing and buy an HDMI to SDI converter. So my setup uses SDI because I'm a broadcast nerd and I want to use professional standards instead of HDMI. But yeah, so my whole desk, like all of the video capture stuff, is kitted out with Blackmagic deck links. Like I have a deck link recorder. I have like a deck link mini recorder, the PCI card, and then I have like another deck link. I think it's just like their 4K one. But yeah, works really well. You just drop it in. I do wish I had automatic webcam support. That's the one thing I don't like having to go through OBS, which is kind of annoying. But
I have
aside from that,
the PCI version as well, the deck link. I have that on my desktop. That's what you're seeing. Like that's how I'm getting this video right now. And I agree. Having to go through OBS virtual cam kind of sucks. I wish it was just like a native webcam support.
It's funny because before, Chrome used to support the deck link cards. Like they would just appear as a cam, and then something happened that they ripped that out, and I was like, this is a sad day. I'm not happy with this.
But OBS is that's a tool I should have mentioned. OBS is a really good tool overall for recording, for streaming, for everything. OBS is amazing. And their virtual camera is not bad. It's pretty easy to use, and it kind of stays out of your way for the most part, unless you like make your output 4K and heat your CPU up a little bit.
Yeah. Like I wish that OBS came out like right after I graduated college. I was actually talking to some of my college friends about it, and we were like, yeah, if we had OBS, it would have been so much easier to like run our television station that we were running, because it's just like such powerful software.
Yeah, I don't have any of that fancy setup y'all have. I'm not a broadcast nerd, but I use my iPhone with my Mac as the webcam, and I think it looks pretty good for free, right? Like,
well, free with an asterisk.
Like I
iPhone
had it in
purchase and
yours.
MacBook purchase. Yeah, iPhone and MacBook sold separately.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so for okay, not free, but
Not free.
if you already
So
have a MacBook and you already have an iPhone, like
It's yeah.
So
Which
I
fair,
don't
a lot
have
of
an
people
iPhone.
probably do have that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an iPhone, but I did spring for about a $160 Logitech webcam that actually does not 4K, but at least HD.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because you
Looks a
saw
little
that
bit-
trailer that we did, and you were like, "I need to do
Right? felt like I was a Philistine left out in the dark ages. Running at
Like, what's that
640 by
potato you're
480.
using for a potato you're using for a webcam? That's
Right? There was like 12 pixels in my entire frame.
yeah.
hey, 16 at least. Powers of 2. Come on.
Powers of two. Yeah. Also, the SM7B is a beautiful microphone.
Oh yeah, I love this mic.
You
so
sound
nice.
so good.
I love how my voice sounds.
How good,
when
Ian?
I
How
talk.
good do we sound? Tell us.
Yeah.
I mean,
sound
how
really
good.
You better stop. Like
Yeah.
Ian's like, this is my ASMR for the night. This is perfect. Where's my tapping video? Yeah.
you need to
Any
scrape
other,
your nails across something and say Bentley.
Yeah.
We all seen that.
I know we're getting near the end here. Any other tools y'all want to mention?
Yes.
Yeah. I got one that's
love-
video related.
Oh. Okay, go
Oh
for
yeah,
it.
please.
And it's really simple, but the Zeiss lens wipes for like camera lenses and glasses are amazing. Like you literally can't leave a streak with them.
Oh,
Like
that's
so for
nice.
cleaning your
That's
phone
really
or your
nice.
monitor or like your camera, like you can try to leave a streak and it won't. And it won't scratch anything. It's like $15 for 200 of them. And they are life-changing.
Every year
I
when I
actually
go to
probably
the
have
eye
to pick some of those
doctor,
up.
every year when I go to the eye doctor, they make a point to say, don't clean your glasses on your shirt. And then I immediately just use the bottom of my shirt and wipe my glasses.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
use
I'm
those
bad
lens
with
wipes
that.
to clean everything. Like my phone, my laptop, my keyboard. They are amazing.
Noise.
I have microfiber cloth and some cleaning spray, but I don't use that to clean the lenses. I need to get something like that for the lenses.
Yeah.
I haven't cleaned this lens yet because it's still pretty new, so it's coming
Yeah.
up.
I spent so much money on glass. I should probably get nice
Right? Yeah.
lens cleaners. I went crazy buying a whole bunch of like G Master lenses, and I'm like, I shouldn't have done this, but now I have a bunch of nice Sony glass, so whatever.
Nice.
I have one that I absolutely love, like the M2 MacBook Air or the M whatever MacBook Air is amazing. Like I love this thing so much. I love the color. I have the nice like, what is this, Midnight or whatever, the like blue
Nice.
one.
Oh yeah,
And
the
it
one
is-
before the new black color that they have now.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just like it's like a fanless machine, but it's still so powerful. Like I never run into any problems with it. It just goes and it has a nice screen, it has a nice keyboard. I can run my shell and my terminal and all of that stuff. It's really nice. It's such a nice little thing, and it's so light and so thin,
And
its
the battery
lasts for
lasts.
so long. It's absolutely fantastic. I think that it's like if you're looking for a computer, like
I actually don't
And
think there's a
M2.
better deal out there for a computer.
yeah, I don't think so.
Like Apple used to be the expensive option, right? And now
Yeah.
if you're going to spend $800 on a Windows laptop, you might as well just spend $1,000 on a
Yeah,
Mac.
or even buying an M2 MacBook Air because they're like I think they almost are $800 now.
Is that a 13-inch one?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
So like even buying an M2 MacBook Air is still like it's still so good.
Yeah, but
my
I can
mom
get a.
recent.
I was going to say I can go to Walmart and get an Asus Windows laptop for about $189. It's totally the
Yeah.
same thing, right?
Yeah, potato laptop. Yeah, hot potato.
The other
laptop,
thing about the
probably.
MacBook Air is like it's going to last forever. Like you go buy a
Yeah.
Windows laptop for the same price, and how long before that is super out of date?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
This
is
and
true.
like I'm still running an M1 Max MacBook Pro, and this thing handles pretty much everything. Like even my editing workflow, it like handles well. And I'm editing in 4K, so it's like these things are amazing.
Yeah, I still have like the regular M1 MacBook Pro, not the Max, and it is still great.
Again, cries in Linux. Maybe it's my future. I don't know.
They were working on it, weren't they? What's the name of the M1 in Linux?
Oh, Asahi?
Asahi, yeah. Did that ever get off the ground?
I think
that's bootable, but I don't know what the complete status is.
I don't know.
I was following that when the M1s first came out, and then I was just like, all right, this isn't going to be good for a very long time. And then I gave up on it.
I mean, it's not like Apple helps, right? Everything's reverse engineered. So it's just best effort, reverse engineered, and it takes a lot to do that stuff.
Although with like the built-in hypervisor and Mac OS, you can still run like Linux VMs and things pretty easily.
Yeah. That might be the thing. I know when I was listening to that same episode you were talking about with Mitchell, and like he kind of talks a little bit about his workflow and using a MacBook with like Linux VMs, and that seems to be like a really good median like workflow for people.
Like I know you love the framework, but
the frameworks
I do love the framework.
Very
I do love the framework laptop. It's very nice, and like I recorded a few episodes on that laptop too, and it works well. But it's not going to last as long as the MacBook, in the sense of like, it'll last long because I can replace parts in it and keep it going. Yeah, for sure. But resale value wise, performance wise, it's not going to last the like a MacBook, and it's a thick boy. Like carrying this thing around, it's a big boy.
I think
there's something to Mac's like industrial design, the actual tactile feel of their laptops are just at another level.
Yeah.
Windows trackpads have come a long way, but Mac's trackpads used to be so much better. And I still think they're a lot better, but
I love when they went away from the springboard design for the trackpad and did the taptic or haptic feedback ones. Oh, it's so good.
It is nice.
It was like life changing. And when they made it gigantic too, I was like, this is life changing. This is beautiful. I love this.
The other thing about MacBooks versus
go ahead.
The other thing about the MacBooks over the like you go buy a Windows laptop from Walmart is like Macs all have really fast SSDs.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that like the average person notices. Like it's not about processing speed. Like if Chrome opens immediately, that's what they notice.
Right.
Do you
were
all
talking
like
about
use
touchpads, and it was reminding me of the old school business people who had their IBM ThinkPads with the knob in the middle above the B, the G, and the H. I could never get used to using those things. I hated those.
They were great. I liked it too. They were so good.
Of a computer, those ThinkPads were ridiculous.
They're getting rid of it though. They just announced that they're getting rid of that nib or whatever it is.
Oh, people would be really upset.
I could never get used to using it. Like the accuracy, it was just not enough for me.
Really, I thought for like a little nib like that, it was really good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, the first laptop I bought with my own money was a ThinkPad, and that like you were saying, that little red nib, like surprising amount of control.
Yep. Yeah. Agreed. Especially when you're trying to highlight. Okay, if you like are trying to grab text from like your terminal that's overflowed the screen or whatever, and you have to like bring your mouse to the bottom, and you can't move the mouse down anymore, so you're like shaking it left to right to try to keep going with your selection. The nib just solves that. You just hold
it down.
Yeah. Good times.
I still had that with trying to select text with 3 fingers on my Apple touchpad. Like
Oh,
I don't
hit 3 fingers, and then you run to the end of the screen, and it's like, no, don't keep going.
Yeah. Shift, scroll, click.
Yeah. Or for you, it's caps lock control, or whatever it is.
Whichever one I happen
whichever one you hit,
to hit. Whichever one your fat pinky slips itself into.
It's not, my pinky's not fat. It's just not dexterous.
Well, kind of wrapping up on the tools here. Here are my last 2 that I had on my list. So one is this is more hardware, this is actual tools. Actually, it's probably the most tool on here. It's the iFixit Mako driver kit. It's basically just a small screwdriver set with a bunch of different bits for it. Love that thing. I use it for all my electronics work. It's a smaller screwdriver, so it's yes.
This thing's amazing.
Yeah, or it's like it's sibling one, but same idea that because they have like a spread of options of them, but there's toolkit's amazing. The bits are like a decent quality metal. I don't actually know the exact quality of it, but sometimes I work on not electronics, but still smaller fasteners and such that need like a bit that's not going to break, and that toolkit's much better. So I use that pretty much for all of my like electronics and small fastener tinkering.
Yeah, I love that screwdriver.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's another one of those things that just feels really nice in your hands.
Yep. Built well, doesn't cost an arm and a leg, feels like you can just have that toolkit forever and it just works. So I really like that toolkit.
Speaking of things that are built well and will last forever, there's this hoodie, the company's called American Giant, right? And they make this classic pullover hoodie. It's like 2 layers of thick cotton. This is my second one. The first one is like, I've had it for 10 years and it's like falling apart. But after 10 years, it is the beefiest, nicest sweatshirt you can buy. Like I wore it frequently for 10 years before I was like, I probably need a new one. Like,
nice.
Like one of those buy it for life things.
That's essentially what this episode is almost coming together as, is a more buy it for life sort of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have done this one right before Christmas.
I know, right?
It would really have lasted me for my entire life, being that I would only need to wear it 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah. You just got 2 inches of snow. It shut down your whole town. So
2
8 inches.
8 inches of snow.
Oh, sorry. 8 inches of snow, and
it's been 72 hours, and there's still snow on the ground. It's the end times here.
End times.
Meanwhile, over here, snow is down. It's like cleared immediately. Airplanes are still taking off. It's fine.
Yeah, we just got plows plowing. People salt on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Oh, salt everywhere though. It's gross.
I hate the salt.
Me too.
And everything gets all washed out. It's just like ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have one.
Okay.
It is the Epson. I think it's like the ES300W. It's like a little portable scanner, and it is just like so helpful to have this teeny tiny compact. I think I have it. Yeah, it's like it folds into this nice like little box.
Ooh, that's nice.
And
I've always wanted one of those.
And it's just really nice because it you can do it over USB-C. You can like connect to Wi-Fi, and it can do like really high quality scans. So if I have like notes or like something I need to like sign and then send off to somebody, it's just like super fast and super convenient to just like scan it in. The software is slightly janky, but it's still super nice, and it even has like an ID scanner as well, so it can scan like IDs and cards and things like that. And not
I think people sleep on scanners and such. Like everyone's like, oh, aren't your documents digital? You can sign them digitally. Yeah, but it's about to be tax season, and some documents just come through the mail, regardless of what your selections are on paperless or whatever. They come through the mail. And you do want to digitize them and like archive them, and a scanner is the perfect thing for that. Instead of taking a photo on your iPhone or something.
Some documents that you legally have to wet sign, so you actually have to print them out, sign them, scan them, and send them back. You can't digitally sign them.
Right.
This
and that's where you use your beautiful pen.
This wasn't on my list, but I bought an HP LaserJet P1102W, the greatest name ever. I bought this thing in 2010. I have never replaced the toner, and it still works like a beast.
The old HP LaserJets are just tanks.
15 years of printing, same toner. It's still half full.
And you better not upgrade that at all, because I think HP is like checking the cartridges you put in now to the printer, or trying to do that.
If you go buy a new printer today, you have to throw it away in 6 months and just buy a new one.
I would be surprised if this didn't last another 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's 15 years old now. 15.
I do love my printer, the Brother HL3170 CDW. It is also, it's kind of big, but it is a workhorse. I have gone through a lot of toner, but I also print off an insane amount of stuff. So I'm just printing off research papers all the time, and it's like I have stuff all over the place, but it works real well. Especially now that I like hooked it up to Ethernet. When I was going over Wi-Fi, it just did not work very well. But when I hooked up to Ethernet, it's just reliably prints, reliably wakes up.
That is the one bad thing about this. Every time I want to print, I have to turn it back on, off and back on again, so that it will connect to the Wi-Fi. It times out after like 15 minutes, and nothing can find it. But you just turn it off, turn it back on.
Price for a 15-year machine.
Exactly.
It sounds like you print like twice a year anyway. So
I print quite a bit actually. Like
really?
Mostly like shipping labels and
like that. You're printing like one page. I'm printing off like
we got a thermal printer for that. It's so good.
Yeah.
I will wrap up the tools with my last one then. So my last item here is this IKEA Skatis. I don't know how to correctly pronounce that.
I think
but basically, I think it's Skatis, right? Yeah. It's this pegboard that you might be able to see if you're on the video. It's just a pegboard that you can put things on in IKEA, but IKEA kind of like accessorized around it with creating a bunch of standardized equipment that you could put on it. Why I like it is it's very cheap, and it's a good way to organize your stuff and get things like out of your drawers and out of your closets. I had I have a bunch of keyboards hanging up on here, and before they were up on the wall, they were like in my closet in their box. And I'm like, I don't need to hold on to these boxes for anything. So now with this, I just got rid of all my boxes, all rid of that stuff, and just hung it all up on this Skatis pegboard thing.
I also like the wall control system. Like I have that in my kitchen for like my pots and pans and everything, and I think that is fantastic as well.
One thing about Skatis is if you're into 3D printing at all, or you have one, there are. If you can think of something you want to hang on a Skatis board, someone has designed a bracket for it.
That's nice.
Which is funny because like the idea of a pegboard has existed way before the Skatis was even a thing, and like the 3D printing community didn't really do much with that regular pegboards. And then the Skatis came out, and it's like, oh, let's all do this. It's like, what changed?
It's an IKEA. It's cool.
Yeah, like with the lack rack where they like accidentally made a rack with table, and everybody's just like, we should turn this into a rack.
Yeah. I mean, it's really cool to see that though, honestly. Yeah. And it's cheap enough where you feel fine like buying it, you know?
Surprised you didn't mention a 3D printer, Ian. I was like,
well,
I don't know of one to recommend. Like, I feel like there's a lot of nuance there.
That was actually part of the problem is, so I have two 3D printers. One's a Bamboo Lab and the other is a Form Lab. And the Form Lab is prohibitively expensive to print on. And the Bamboo Lab just like locked down stuff, and people are really mad at them. So they
just did a rug pull.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's also the same reason why I didn't mention like a camera for people to get, because it's like there's a lot of nuance there and things and budget constraints there. I was like, it's not even worth
getting into a camera eco, because you have to like buy into an ecosystem,
to a lens ecosystem, right? Exactly.
Yeah, so you got to pick your lens mount, and that narrows down what cameras. You got to basically pick a family. You got the the Panasonic, the Sony, the Canon, the Nikon. Got to pick a family, go into that family, buy all the glass.
Yep. Yeah. And it's not like you're switching families once you've bought like $5,000 worth of glass, aka 3 lenses.
Yeah.
If I won the lottery, I would love to have like one of the Hasselblad medium formats.
Yo. That's crazy.
The images that come out of this are just peak.
True that. Although some of these new Sony cameras I've been looking, I'm just like, how many megapixels? That's wild. Like what's your low light performance? That's insane.
For real. I want to kind of close here with a couple questions just to talk about. So we listed off all these tools that we like and we use. Are there any tools that any of us regret buying or otherwise feel like they weren't worth it? So things that maybe aren't on our list for a good reason.
I have a couple of those.
Yeah.
If you want to know what tools we regret buying or using and what areas we think tools could be better, then head on over to fallthrough.fm/subscribe to sign up for a subscription where you'll get access to this episode's exclusive subscriber content. But for now, Hey, Matt, let's wrap this thing up.
I'm very curious about it, but I don't want to go off on a tangent discussing that. So I'm going to talk to you about that outside of the podcast.
This is already a very long podcast.
We have a very long podcast here.
I'm already regretting how long this is going to take so long to edit. I'm going to be so sad. Luckily, this podcast isn't shipping for a few weeks, so I have time.
Yeah, you have a lot of time. Well, with that, thank you, listener, for being here with us and watching and listening and agreeing with the tools that we listed, and you probably have many more that you have. And if you do want to share those tools with us, please reach out to us, find us on the socials, and say, hey, I have tools that I like that make my life better. We will be happy to discuss them and hear them with you. Yeah. And as always, like, subscribe, all of the things. And thank you for joining us on this wonderful episode of Fall Through.
Ding!
Bing! Ding.